I invite our children forward for an Earth Day experience. Come on up. Come on, Natalie, and who we got? Liam, Abby. I see Asia and Chandler, maybe? Yeah. Okay. Come on. Okay. Oh, and we even have Emily in. Wow. Good morning, good morning. This past month, the month of April, the very beginning of the month, I put out a challenge to the entire congregation to notice things in nature every day and take a picture. And some of the pictures that you saw up on the screen were the pictures that folks have taken of nature. And the whole idea was awakening yourself to notice what's going on in the natural world each and every day. In other words, not to just go through your normal routine and not pay any attention, but to really pay attention. And of course, I think in the spring it's easiest to do that because every day some new thing pops out, right? And we're noticing that. But it's a good spiritual practice to be noticing the natural world every day. And I have a little game that I play with myself that I realized that you might enjoy doing. And this is a game for everyone in the sanctuary, okay? So, how this game works is that when I'm out on a hike and I'm just going along, I say to myself, I'm going to do my ABC noticing game, and what I do is I start with the letter A, and I go all the way to Z, and I think, what am I observing around me that goes with those letters, starts with those letters? And so I thought I would just ask you, for the month of April, the things you've been noticing about the ecosystem, about the earth, right around here in Ogden, or perhaps, you know, in Utah in general, if you've been traveling around the state, or maybe even a little further afield if you've traveled a little further this month away from here, some things you might have noticed that start with those letters. And so I'm just wondering if we can just do this together. And the idea is to just do it quick, because you think, oh, A through Z, that's 26 things I noticed. Well, yeah, I'll bet you're going to be surprised how much you've noticed. So let's just try it together. I'm just going to start out with saying A for antelope. B, anybody? B, a bee. Yeah, bees, exactly. C, cougar. Ooh. D, dog. Okay. E, eggs. Yes, eggs. Yes. F, flamingos. Yes, those rare Utah flamingos that flew in. G, giant. Grass. Grass just going va-boom, yeah. H. Horses, yes. I. Iguana. Did you see any iguanas in Utah? But you know what? Iguanas are kind of close to lizards, so we're going to count that one. So I, J. Think of the landforms as well. It's not just animals and plants that are nature. It's our weather patterns, and it's our landforms.
Joshua tree.
Joshua tree. Yeah. J, K. Come on, you grown-ups out there. Kangaroos. Only at the zoo.
But I saw them on Fox 13.
But you saw them on Fox 13, okay. So K goes to KL. What about L? Lakes. M? East mountains. Yeah, that's like the easiest one of all here in Ogden. N? Nests. Yes. O? Osprey, and what? Octopus. Well, there was an octopus in the news this month that escaped from some aquarium somewhere. Let's see, O, P.
Peas.
Peas?
Peas.
Peas. Peas starting to come up in the garden. Q.
Quail.
Quails, exactly. That's another one. Yeah. R. Rivers. Yes. You see the Ogden River this week? Woo! Big rapids. Awesome. S. Streams. Streams flowing. And snakes. Yes. I saw a snake too. T. Trees. U. Umbrellas. Umbrellas for the rain. Okay, we'll call that. So V. Violets. Yes, sweet little violets. W. Weeds. Yeah, weeds popping up all over. X.
X-ray.
X-rays. Yeah. X is always one of those challenging ones. So you can do the default and do something like extraordinary. Xeriscape. Perfect. That's awesome. Usually I just default to something like extra special or something. Okay, so, and Y? Yards. Turning green. And yo-yos. Z and Z. What about Z?
Zebra.
Zebra. How many zebras have you seen in Utah? And the local zoo have them? Okay, then they count. So the bottom line is you've noticed a lot more than you thought, probably. And I just encourage you, even though we're moving past Earth Day and we're moving past spring soon into summer, to keep noticing every day. And you might want to do my ABC game when you're out sometime and just see what you're noticing and call it out by its name. So thanks so much this morning.
Born January 29, 1927, Edward Paul Abbey was an American author and essayist noted for his advocacy of environmental issues, criticism of public land policies, and anarchist political views. His best-known works include the novel The Monkey Wrench Gang, which has been cited as an inspiration by radical environmentalist groups, and the nonfiction work Desert Solitaire. Edward Abbey died on March 14, 1989, at age 62, in his home in Tucson, Arizona. His death was due to complications from surgery, and he suffered for 4 days of esophageal hemorrhaging. Showing his sense of humor, however, he left a message for anyone who asked about his final words. No comment. Abbey also left instructions on what to do with his remains. Abbey wanted his body transported in the bed of a pickup truck and wished to be buried as soon as possible. He didn't want to be embalmed or placed in a coffin. Instead, he preferred to be placed inside of an old sleeping bag and requested that his friends disregard all state laws concerning burial. I want my body to help fertilize the growth of a cactus, or of a cliff rose, or a sagebrush, or a tree, said the message. For his funeral, Abbey stated, no formal speech is desired, though the deceased will not interfere if someone feels the urge. But keep it all simple and brief. He requested gunfire and bagpipe music, and a cheerful raucous wake, and a flood of beer and booze. Lots of singing and dancing and talking and hollering and laughing and lovemaking. But his one final paragraph to the rest of us, in an article called Joy Shipmates Joy, he advised us, do not burn yourselves out. Be as I am, a reluctant enthusiast, a part-time crusader, a half-hearted fanatic. Save the other half of yourselves and your lives for pleasure and adventure. It is not enough to fight for the land. It is even more important to get out and enjoy it while you can, while it's still there. So get out there and hunt and fish and mess around with your friends. Ramble out yonder and explore the forests. Climb the mountains, bag the peaks, and run the rivers. Breathe deep of that yet sweet, lucid air. Sit quietly for a while and contemplate the precious stillness, the lovely, mysterious, and awesome space. Enjoy yourselves. Keep your brain in your head and your head firmly attached to your body. The body alive and active. And I promise you this much. I promise you this one sweet victory over our enemies. Over those desk-bound men and women with their hearts in a safe deposit box, their eyes hypnotized by desk calculators. I promise you this. You will outlive the bastards.
What a hard act to follow.
We have a music reflection.
Whoops.
So enthusiastic. So our musical reflection this morning is a little bit different. In the spirit of what we're talking about today, we invite you to sit back and get comfortable and close your eyes as we listen to some sounds of nature. This is from a series of CDs called Solitudes, and these were recorded and produced by Dan Gibbs, and they're environmental sound experiences composed of authentic, natural sounds. And
Here is this vast, savage, howling mother of ours, nature lying all around with such beauty and such affection for her children. As the leopard, and yet we are so early weaned from her breast to society, to that culture which is exclusively an interaction of man on man. That was written over 150 years ago by Henry David Thoreau, and it is very apropos for our own time. As a child, I was not aware of ecology or acid rain or the ozone or rainforests, but I knew my woods. They started at the end of my street. It was a separate world where time slowed down and there were no adults to tell us what to do. In preparation for this service, Reverend Shelley gave me a book to read. It's called The Last Child in the Woods by Richard Louv, L-O-U-V. I have just ordered Shelley a new copy as I marked hers all up. Perhaps she will share. I am donating my copy to the UUCO library where you can enjoy it and see what I marked up. I have quite liberally borrowed from this source for this sermon. The book addresses our children and all born after the baby boomers, but I took its message to heart myself also. I was one of the last groups to grow up largely in nature, unsupervised and unscheduled. For this I'm very grateful. For newer generations, nature is a more abstract construct as opposed to their reality. Nature is something to watch or consume. Nature may be seen as scary and foreign. But as Louv states, at the very moment that the bond is breaking between the young and the natural world, a growing body of research links our mental, physical, and spiritual health with our association with nature. The health of the earth is at stake too. How the young respond to nature and how they raise their own children will shape the configurations and conditions of our cities, our homes, and our lives. Unlike television, nature does not steal time from us, it amplifies it. Nature nurtures our creativity, it demands visualization, and it compels us to use all of our senses. Who among us has not experienced watching ants as they strategize about and move a little bit of apple from, maybe 6 inches? A major undertaking completed in a few minutes of reverie. But we cannot talk about the younger generations and what they need without walking the walk ourselves. Children can hear hypocrisy very clearly. The American Psychiatric Association lists hundreds of recognized mental conditions, but there is not one for dysfunctional environmental disorder, even though our disconnection from the natural world causes many of our problems. The idea that natural landscapes or gardens are therapeutic and rejuvenating is thousands of years old. The ancient taoists knew this. Dr. Benjamin Rush, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, opined, "Digging in the soil has a curative effect on the mentally ill." I might add that I'm a fervent gardener. In the 1870s, the Quakers used landscape and greenhouses as part of their treatment for their patients. Watching an aquarium lowers our blood pressure. Folks with pets live longer. The evidence linking nature and our own mental and physical health is compelling. Green space fosters social interaction, and children interact differently when they are in the natural environment. Not only are the physically gifted children dominant, but creative children are given a chance to shine among their peers in that kind of setting. Nature also offers supportive solitude. Not all that long ago, our soundtrack was nature. It permeated our environment, as we beautifully heard. Today, our senses are literally electrified. Of course, there's computers and telephones and TV, but even earlier, inventions disrupted our environment. For instance, air conditioning. In 1910, 12% of houses had air conditioning. By 2001, 78% had. People no longer opened their windows to the sounds of the night. Visiting on front porches became a thing of the past. As we grow more separate from nature, we continue to separate from one another physically as well. None of our new technologies involve physical human touch. They remove us from direct experience with nature and our fellow man. This has repercussion in our educational systems too. Medical school teachers report difficulty in explaining how the heart operates as a pump, because students don't have real-life experience with pumps anymore. They've never siphoned anything, or fixed a car, or worked on a fuel pump, or even hooked up a garden hose. Their direct learning has been replaced by computer learning, by machines. At some point, our society became enamored with loose parts toys as a way to stimulate creativity. Well, nature itself is the ultimate loose parts toy. We need to change our way of thinking, of time spent in the outdoors as a leisure activity. It is an essential component of our health and should be prioritized like that. Fear is a factor in encouraging our young to spend more time outdoors. I'm sure you've seen on the news all of the dangerous and tragic events that can befall you or your progeny when they are not under constant observation and connection. Such fear can actually make us less safe. People see social interactions in nature as more dangerous than they actually are. Excessive fear can transform an entire culture. How will our children growing up with these constraints and perceptions, how will they define freedom as they come of age? Louvre responds to this by saying, "During the course of researching this book, I heard many adults describe with eloquence and awe the role of nature in their early spiritual development and how that connection continued to deepen as they aged. Many were committed to sharing that connection with their children, but faced challenges. How to explain the spirituality of nature, or rather our spirituality in nature, without tripping on the tangled vines of biblical interpretation, semantics, and politics. These can be real barriers to communicating the simple awe we felt as children as we lay on our backs, watching the clouds make faces and pumpkins and mountains. Our connection with nature provides a context for prayer, a place to learn about love and respect for all of life. Through nature, we are exposed to transcendence, the sense that there is something beyond ourselves. It is through this transcendent experience that we can help our children and future generations to save more of the natural world and the interdependent web of existence of which we are all a part."